Okay, week in review, March 20th, 2023. A couple of things I want to highlight before I get into the comment section. I'm going to do a little different this time. So I went to a SWAT symposium a couple weekends ago in San Luis Obispo. Really good time. There was a lot of officers there from across the state who were SWAT snipers doing some training. And I had been asked earlier on to teach at that event, but I wasn't able to commit to that. But I had the day open, so I drove down and observed for a few hours. Really cool thing they're doing. Hats off to the guys putting that on. They had a competition the next day that I wasn't able to go to, but the SWAT team who won it, a pair of snipers, they actually trained at the ranch with me a couple of weeks before that. So that's pretty cool to see. This past weekend, I myself shot in slow in a 2-day competition, and it was probably the poorest performance I've had in a really long time at one of those long-range rifle matches. I did not shoot well, and I need to focus on that a little more, train before I show up and shoot at that level. I'm going to go into comments. There's a few that I'm going to address. Marina de Oliveira. I'd love to hear more about how we can do more to help doctors that are not involved with CrossFit to at least understand what we are all about. Doing one by one at the moment, but I would love to get any ideas. So doctors or anyone in the society at large, it would be great to get more people involved in CrossFit, obviously. Specifically with doctors, there's the CrossFit health team who they reach out and they communicate a lot more, or they try to empower doctors with educational resources or with the tools they need to educate themselves on the course, or on the methodology. What's interesting though is, like, this goes for anyone, not just doctors, but anybody. It's really hard to convince people to do CrossFit absent their own close proximity to someone who sees a lot of change or benefits from it, or if they have a distinct interest. What I mean by that is, just if I were to walk into a hospital right now in Salinas or Watsonville and start talking to doctors, it would be very salesy, or even if I wasn't trying to be salesy, it would come off that way. So people who have no interest in hearing it automatically have blockers up. So when you mention doctors that are not involved with CrossFit, I think here's not involved with CrossFit. There's one layer deeper, which is maybe involved with fitness, and then one layer further closer to CrossFit, which is interested in knowing CrossFit or interested in learning more about it. That's where we should start, not way over here. You kind of got to get to the group who wants to know more a little bit about it, or is interested in educating themselves prior to going further down that path. But I don't know if that's what you were suggesting, that you were trying to target doctors who have no interest in it. So reach out to the CrossFit Health team, look at the resources from the website, share our content with anyone who does show interest, share what is CrossFit, share some of the videos we make. Just familiarize yourself with the website and the content that we do have, because all of that is great resources to give to anyone who's interested in learning more about CrossFit. Jeff Sawolski. I have coerced 4 medical professionals from the gym that I coach at into taking the healthcare provider level 1 next month in Miami. 3 doctors and a nurse practitioner. 1 who is actually my cardiologist. Any advice on how to prep them for the course? Any chance you are attending? How do we get more coaches and owners to get their medical members to understand the value? I'm laughing because it was basically the statement above. To understand the value of this for the big mission of improving people's lives through the methodology. I know you have hosted these at the ranch and just had the first HCP level 2 there. Thanks for all you do. I will not be at that course in Miami. Very cool that you got them to sign up. Any advice on how to have them prep for the course? Read the training manual. Just become familiar with big picture things, CrossFit, some of the basic acronyms and basic language. If you have that understanding going into the course, it'll help you a lot. But the training manual, really just reading that and preparing from that is all you need to do to prep for the level 1, and just immerse yourself in the program. how do we get more coaches and owners to get their medical members to understand the value of this for the big mission of improving people's lives through the methodology? I think if they're in the gyms and they're working out, doing CrossFit as you just suggested they are on that step of learning that this is the right thing to do, or this is very powerful for their career, for their profession, for changing people's habits and lifestyles, to have them getting off the couch, let's say, and eating a healthy diet. So the people in your box are on the right path. Them understanding as they get more immersed with it and see more results, I should say the medical practitioners in your box, as they see more results themselves, it's easier for them to go more all in entirely. Just take some time. Blah Todd, thoughts on pre-workout and energy drinks. So pre-workout drinks, like I don't really think you need them. Some people are diehards with them. And that's pre-workout. Energy drinks, I'm not a fan of either. I do drink coffee. I just actually recently started drinking coffee in the last 4 or 5 years. So I started drinking late in my adult lifehood. But I actually was drinking energy drinks a lot when I first started teaching level 1s, and Monster, Red Bull, just because the work was really demanding and we were doing a lot of them at the time. I was doing a lot. And I was drinking so many that I started getting the shakes, so I quit drinking them altogether, and then I have not consumed any energy drinks since then. If you are one of the people who likes energy drinks, because I know a lot of CrossFitters who do, I recommend at least pursue the sugar-free drinks. It's a better option, although you can argue some of those artificial sweeteners have just as bad of a response as real sugar. But still, I'd at least advise go with the sugar-free, which is exactly how we were able to do the controversial Monster deal, because at least with that Monster product, it was their sugar-free offering and not their sugar drink option. So personally, not a fan. Professionally, wouldn't recommend them to anyone doing CrossFit. But I know a lot of people do both, so you have to make that choice on your own. JES. Now that the Open is over, can you or would you ever talk about your clues and how they apply to each workout? So on all of them, like when I struggled, especially with the second one, posting the ball dropping, and I was like, this is so obvious to what I am comparing it to, or so obvious. And that one was the most obvious of all my clues ever. And I actually started posting, deleted, but I was like, it's that workout. It's what I think of when I see that workout. So, or test. So I think it was the perfect clue, almost too over the top, especially with the back and forth, considering there's back and forth running. So that one was very obvious in my mind with what I was trying to convey there. Alaska's last frontier homestead. How many years were you in the military, and do you wish you would have stayed in until retirement? So I did 12 years in the Navy, and I would be at like 22 now, and I think I'd probably still be in. Do I wish I would have stayed until retirement? Sometimes I do. I do know this: if I only got out of the military because of this role I had with CrossFit. So 2009, I was still active duty, and I had to make a decision to stay in or get out. But at that point, I'd already created the CrossFit Games. We had already, the CrossFit training department was blowing up. The affiliates were growing. Everything was on this path, this escalating ladder. And so the choice to stay in and then basically pull back on CrossFit work at that time didn't make much sense to me, because I had done so much with CrossFit already. So it was an easy choice to get out and work full-time for CrossFit. Although again, if I didn't have this opportunity with CrossFit, or at that time didn't have the opportunity, I would have for sure stayed in for 20. I loved what I did. I would have done it, continued to do it. It was a very fulfilling job and something I was very proud of. So had I not had this amazing opportunity with CrossFit to fundamentally contribute with this effort to change the world, which we totally have and will continue to do, I would have stayed in. But I'm happy with the decision I made. It was the right decision. It's funny because when I got fired, I was like, maybe I should go back in. Maybe I should do that. Just not like for financial reasons, but just for the love of it. But I'm a little old at this point, and I don't. It would be kind of a tougher thing to do now that I, through CrossFit, have this following, because being a SEAL, you're supposed to be in the shadows and not necessarily a public figure. So, but whatever. I wasn't going to do it, but I did think it. All right. Well, busy week ahead. I will update you guys on Monday of this week and some of the things that are going on. Thanks a lot.